My name is Natalie Carter. I'm 35 years old. And the strange thing about being called a terrible person is that sometimes the people saying it are absolutely right. I didn't always think of myself that way. There was a time when I believed I was just misunderstood, unlucky, a little lost, maybe, but not cruel. Not someone capable of destroying an entire family. Not someone who could look her own sister in the eyes and lie. But that was before I understood how small choices stack quietly on top of each other, until one day they collapse into something irreversible. 6 years ago, I was 31. Single. Working a job I hated so much that Sunday nights felt like grief. Living in a studio apartment with thin walls and thinner excuses for why my life looked the way it did. And every time I opened my phone, I saw her. My older sister, Clara Carter. 2 years older, always 2 steps ahead. The responsible one. The one who got things right the first time. She had everything that made sense. A beautiful house in the suburbs, a steady life, and a boyfriend, Daniel Hayes, who looked at her like she was the only person in the room. They'd been together for years. Not married, but close enough that everyone assumed it was just a matter of time. And then there was their daughter, Emma, 8 years old, bright, observant. The kind of child who asked questions you didn't always want to answer. They were complete. That's the word I used when I tried to describe them to myself. Complete, and I hated how much that word bothered me. Because next to them, I felt like something unfinished. Like a draft no one wanted to read twice. I told myself I wasn't jealous, that I was happy for Clara, that I admired her life. But admiration doesn't feel like that tight, that burning thing in your chest when you're alone at night, scrolling through pictures of someone else's happiness. It doesn't whisper, "Why not you?" Daniel started texting me about a year before everything fell apart. At first, it was harmless. "Hey, Clara said you had a rough day. You okay? Did you ever figure out that issue at work?" Simple, casual, easy to respond to. And I did, because it felt nice to be noticed, to be asked, to be considered. We started talking more. Not about Clara at first, about everything else. Work, life, the kind of quiet frustrations you don't post about online. And somewhere along the way, those conversations shifted. Subtly, dangerously. "You deserve better than that job. You're a lot more interesting than you think. I don't think people see you the way I do." The way I do. I should have stopped it there. I should have seen it for what it was. But I didn't. Because for the first time in a long time, someone was choosing to see me. Not as Clara's younger sister. Not as the one who hadn't figured things out yet. But as someone worth paying attention to. That's how it starts. Not with a plan. Not with intention. Just with a feeling you don't want to lose. The first time he kissed me, it was in his car after a family dinner. Clara had gone inside ahead of us. Emma was already asleep, and we were sitting there in the quiet, the engine still running, both of us pretending we didn't feel what had been building for weeks. He looked at me. I looked at him. And then it just happened. At least that's what I told myself. That it just happened. Like it wasn't a choice. Like I hadn't been moving toward that moment with every text, every late-night conversation, every time I let myself believe I deserved something that wasn't mine. Nothing just happens. I knew that. I just didn't care enough to stop. After that, there was no going back. We crossed a line that erased all the others. The messages got bolder, the meetings more deliberate. We became careful, calculated, and completely dishonest. We told ourselves stories to make it easier. Clara was busy. She didn't understand him. They were already drifting apart. None of it was true. The truth was simpler. I was jealous of my sister, and Daniel made me feel like I mattered. That's all it took. 3 months. That's how long it lasted before everything exploded. 3 months of stolen conversations, of secret touches, of pretending we weren't becoming something ugly. We had been physical for 6 weeks when Clara asked me to babysit. She stood in my apartment doorway, smiling, excited, glowing in that way people do when they believe their life is exactly where it should be. "We're going away for a few days," she said. "Just a short trip. I've been planning it forever." I smiled back. "Of course, you know I'll watch, Emma." "I know," she said softly. Then she stepped closer and hugged me, tightly, the kind of hug that lingers a second longer than expected. "Thank you," she whispered. "I trust you completely." Those words should have stopped everything. They should have cut through every lie I'd been telling myself. Should have forced the truth out of me right then, standing in that doorway. But they didn't, because instead of hearing a warning, I heard an opportunity. 5 days, alone in her house, in her life, in everything I had spent months pretending I didn't want. And that was the moment. The exact moment when I chose not just to continue, but to go further than I ever had before. They left on a Friday afternoon. Clara stood in the driveway, one hand resting lightly on Emma's shoulder, the other gripping the handle of her suitcase. She looked happy, relaxed in a way I hadn't seen in a long time. Daniel loaded the last bag into the car, then walked back toward us. "Text me when you get there," I said, keeping my voice steady. "Of course," Clara replied, smiling. "We'll call tonight, too. Emma won't sleep without saying goodnight." Emma rolled her eyes, but she was smiling. "I'm not a baby." "No," Clara said softly, brushing a strand of hair behind her daughter's ear. "You're my favorite girl." Emma leaned into her. For a second, a brief, quiet second, I felt something twist inside me. Something that sounded a lot like doubt. But it passed, because Daniel's eyes flicked toward mine. And that was enough. They drove away just after 4 p.m. Emma and I stood in the driveway until the car disappeared around the corner. "Can we have popcorn tonight?" she asked. "Of course," I said. "Extra butter?" "Extra butter." She smiled, and just like that, the house felt normal, warm, safe, like nothing was about to break. That evening, I did everything right. We made popcorn, watched her favorite movie, laughed at the parts she'd seen 100 times but still found funny. At 8 o'clock, I tucked her into bed. She hugged her stuffed rabbit tightly, pulling the blanket up to her chin. "I love you, Aunt Natalie," she said, her voice soft and sleepy. My throat tightened. "I love you too, sweet girl." And for a moment, just a moment, I almost believed I meant that in the way I was supposed to. I checked on her again at 9 o'clock. She was asleep. Light, steady breathing, one arm draped over the rabbit, the hallway nightlight casting a soft glow across her face. I left her door slightly open, just like Clara always did. Everything was exactly the way it should have been. At 9:15, my phone buzzed. "Daniel, she's settled in. I'm heading back." My heart started racing instantly. This was it. The moment we had planned. The moment we had justified, twisted, reshaped into something that didn't feel as wrong as it was. 5 days. That's what I told myself. 5 days of stepping into a life I had only ever watched from the outside. I should have felt guilt. Fear. Something that resembled hesitation. Instead, all I felt was anticipation. He arrived just after 10. I heard the front door unlock softly, the quiet click echoing louder than it should have in the still house. And then he was there, standing in the entryway, looking at me like nothing else existed. We didn't say anything at first. There was no small talk left between us, no space for pretending. He crossed the room in seconds, and then we were on each other. Months of restraint collapsing all at once. Every stolen glance, every late-night message, every almost. It all came crashing forward. We moved quickly, quietly. Up the stairs, down the hall, into her bedroom. The door closed behind us with a soft click, and suddenly everything felt different. He reached for me again, but for a split second, I hesitated, just long enough to notice the details. Clara's perfume lingering faintly in the air, the framed photo on the nightstand, her, Daniel, and Emma at the beach, smiling into the sun, the neatly folded throw blanket at the foot of the bed, their life, their space, their history. I shouldn't be here. The thought came fast, sharp, clear. But then Daniel touched my face, and it vanished, just like that, replaced by something selfish, something consuming, something that said, "You've already come this far," so I let it happen. We were careful. At least we thought we were. Voices low, movements controlled, always aware of the hallway, of the small bedroom down the hall where an 8-year-old girl slept. At least we believed she was asleep. That was the lie we told ourselves to make it easier. What we didn't know, what I didn't even consider, was that Emma had woken up. That sometime after 10, she had opened her eyes in the quiet dark and realized something felt off. That I wasn't in the living room, that the house sounded different. So she got out of bed, still holding her stuffed rabbit, and walked down the hallway. Bare feet against the wood floor. Soft, careful, curious. She called my name once, quietly. "Aunt Natalie?" No answer. So she kept walking, toward the only place left in the house where someone might be. Her mother's bedroom. The door wasn't fully closed, just enough to muffle the sounds, but not enough to hide them completely. She pushed it open slightly, just enough to see. And what she saw, what an 8-year-old should never have to understand, was her father with her aunt in her mother's bed. We didn't hear her. We didn't know. We didn't stop. Because in that moment, we were only thinking about ourselves. Later, long after everything had happened, we fell asleep, wrapped in sheets that didn't belong to us, in a bed built on trust we had already destroyed. I woke up at 2 a.m. to the sound of a phone vibrating against the nightstand. Daniel groaned softly, reaching for it. His face shifted instantly when he saw the screen. "Clara?" he whispered. Multiple missed calls. Several messages. "Why aren't you answering? Is Emma okay? What's going on?" My stomach dropped. Panic hit fast and hard. "She never calls this much," I said. Just stay quiet," he muttered, already dialing her back. He put it on speaker. "Hey," he said, forcing his voice to sound groggy. "Sorry, I fell asleep." There was a pause on the other end. "You're back at the house?" Clara asked. "Yeah, just wanted to check on things. Make sure everything was okay." Another pause. "How's Emma?" I held my breath. "She's fine, sleeping. Everything's perfect." The word echoed in my head. "Perfect." Clara exhaled softly. "Okay, sorry, I just had a weird feeling." "We're good," he said. "Go enjoy your trip." A beat. "Okay," she replied. "I love you." "I love you too." The call ended. We stared at each other in silence. Neither of us said what we were both thinking. That something about that call felt off. Too close. Too fragile. Like everything we were doing was balancing on the edge of something about to collapse. Daniel left before sunrise, slipping out quietly, just as carefully as he had come in. More lies. More coordination. More damage. When I went to check on Emma that morning, she was already awake, sitting upright in bed, her stuffed rabbit clutched tightly in her lap, and she was staring at me. Not sleepy, not confused, just staring. Too still, too quiet. "Good morning, sweetie," I said gently. "Did you sleep okay?" She didn't answer, didn't move, didn't blink. Something cold slid through my chest. "Do you want pancakes?" I tried again. "Your mom said you love pancakes on Saturdays." Still nothing. Then finally, her voice. Small, flat. "I saw you." My entire body went cold. I forced a smile. "Saw me what?" Her eyes didn't leave mine. "Last night." My heart started pounding so hard I could hear it in my ears. "You were sleeping," I said quickly. "Maybe you had a dream." I wasn't sleeping. The words were sharper now. Clearer. "I saw you and Daddy." Everything inside me dropped. The room felt too small. Too quiet. Too real. "You were kissing," she continued. "And other stuff." Her voice cracked slightly. "In Mommy's bed." My hands started shaking. "Emma," I said softly, stepping closer, lowering my voice like that would somehow make this smaller, easier, less real. "Sweetheart, you had a bad dream." "You had." She shook her head immediately. "No." "Yes," I insisted, forcing calm into my tone. "Sometimes dreams feel very real." "Stop lying to me!" The sudden force in her voice made me flinch. Tears welled in her eyes, but she didn't look away. I know what I saw. And in that moment, standing there in her bedroom, under the soft morning light, I realized something terrifying. She wasn't confused. She wasn't unsure. She knew. And instead of telling the truth, instead of fixing it before it spread any further, I made the worst decision of my life. I knelt down beside her bed. "Emma," I whispered, "you can't tell your mom about your dream." Emma stared at me like she was trying to understand something she didn't have the words for yet. Not confusion, not innocence, something heavier, something that didn't belong on the face of an 8-year-old. "It wasn't a dream," she said again, quieter this time, but steadier. I swallowed, forced a gentle tone I didn't feel. "Sweetheart, if you tell Mommy about something like that, it would make her very sad. She's on her special trip, remember? We don't want to ruin it." Even as I said it, something inside me recoiled. I knew what I was doing. I was taking the truth and reshaping it into something she would doubt. She shook her head. "You hurt Mommy." The words landed harder than anything else she'd said. "You and Daddy hurt Mommy." "No," I said quickly. Too quickly. "No, we would never hurt her. Your imagination." "Stop." Her voice cracked. I know what I saw. Silence stretched between us. Then she pulled her blanket up, turning away from me completely. "I want my mom." My chest tightened. "She'll be back soon," I said, reaching for reassurance like it could fix anything. 4 days. We'll have fun until then, okay? We can do whatever you want. Ice cream for breakfast, movies, anything." No response. She didn't even look at me, just curled into herself like she was trying to disappear. That entire day felt wrong, like walking through a house where something had already broken, but you hadn't found it yet. I tried everything. Pancakes, cartoons, her favorite games. She barely spoke, barely ate. Every time I looked at her, I felt that same cold realization settle deeper in my chest. She wasn't forgetting. She wasn't doubting. She was remembering. Daniel texted me constantly. "Daniel, how is she?" "Daniel, did she say anything else?" "Daniel, I can come back." I stared at my phone for a long time before replying. No, too risky. She knows something. A pause. Then, "Daniel, she's a kid, Natalie. Kids imagine things." I looked across the room. Emma was sitting on the floor, quietly drawing, her small hand moving slowly across the paper. Deliberate. Focused. Not like someone imagining. Like someone documenting. Sunday was worse. She refused breakfast. Wouldn't turn on the TV. Just stayed in her room for hours. Drawing. Always drawing. I stood in the doorway at one point, watching her. "Emma?" She didn't respond. I stepped closer. Can I see what you're working on? Slowly, She turned the paper toward me. Stick figures, a bed, two figures inside it, and a smaller one standing in the doorway, watching. My throat went dry. There was a face drawn on the smaller figure, sad, eyes wide. I forced a smile I couldn't hold. That's very creative, I said. She took the paper back without a word, turned away from me again. I tried calling Clara that afternoon. No answer. The crew's Wi-Fi was unreliable. I left a voicemail. Hey, everything's great here. Emma and I are having so much fun. Call me when you can. Love you. The lie tasted bitter, but I said it anyway. Monday morning, Emma finally spoke again. She was sitting at the kitchen table, staring at a glass of milk she hadn't touched. When is Mommy coming home? Wednesday afternoon, I said. Just 2 more days. She nodded slowly. Then, I'm telling her everything. My heart slammed against my ribs. Emma, please. It wasn't a dream. Her voice was firm now, unshakable. You're a liar, she added quietly. You and Daddy are liars, and Mommy needs to know. Panic surged through me. Emma, if you tell her, it could break your family, I said, my voice trembling despite my effort to stay calm. Your mom and dad might not live together anymore. You might have to choose. Stop! She pushed her chair back hard, tears spilling over. I don't care, I want my mom. The sound of her crying filled the room, raw, unfiltered. And I stood there, trying to convince an 8-year-old to carry a secret she never should have known, trying to protect something that didn't deserve protection. She cried herself to sleep that night, and I sat outside her door, listening, head in my hands, hating myself, but not enough to stop, not enough to tell the truth. Tuesday afternoon, my phone rang. Clara. I froze before answering. Hey, I said, forcing brightness into my voice. How's the trip? It's amazing, she said, but I miss Emma like crazy. Can I talk to her? My mind raced. She's at the park, I said quickly. A pause. Which park? I named one. The first one that came to mind. Silence stretched on the other end. That park is 30 minutes away, Clara said slowly. Why would you go there? I stumbled. Emma wanted the big slides, you know how she is. Another pause. Longer this time. Emma's scared of big slides, Clara said. She's been scared since she fell at that birthday party. My grip tightened around the phone. Right, I said quickly. I meant the swings, the big swings. Clara didn't respond immediately. And in that silence, I felt it. The shift. What's going on? She asked finally. You sound weird. Nothing, I said too fast. Everything's fine. Emma's great. We're having fun. A beat. Let me talk to her when she gets back. Of course, I said, promise. But I didn't let Emma call her. I told her the phone battery had died. That we'd call tomorrow. More lies. More time. That's all I was buying. Time. Wednesday morning. Clara sent a message. Docking in 3 hours. I can't wait to see my baby girl. And thank you again for everything. I stared at the screen for a long time. Because I knew. In a few hours. Everything would be over. Emma was going to tell her. I could see it in the way she looked at me. No fear. No hesitation. Just certainty. Daniel came by late morning. We stood in the kitchen, the same place where Emma had cried the day before. We need a story, he said. Something consistent. She's 8, I said. She knows what she saw. So we deny it, he replied immediately. Kids have active imaginations. Clara will believe us. I stared at him. Will she? He hesitated. Just for a second. Then, what choice do we have? I exhaled shakily. We could tell her ourselves, I said, before Emma does. Control it. Apologize. Are you insane? He snapped. We'd lose everything. We're going to lose everything anyway. The words hung between us. Heavy. Unavoidable. But neither of us moved toward the truth. Clara arrived at 4 p.m. Sun-kissed. Smiling. Happy. She dropped her bags the second she walked through the door and pulled Emma into her arms. Emma clung to her immediately. Crying. Hard. Oh, baby, Clara whispered, brushing her hair back. Did you miss me that much? Emma pulled back slightly. Her eyes moved. From her mother, to me, to Daniel, and back again. Mommy, she said, her voice trembling. I need to tell you something. My stomach dropped. Clara's smile faltered. Okay, sweetheart, she said gently. What is it? Emma took a shaky breath. It's about Daddy and Aunt Natalie. The room went still. Completely still. Clara's expression changed. What about them? Emma's lip trembled. I saw them. A beat. On Friday night. Clara's face drained of color. I woke up and I went to find Aunt Natalie, Emma continued, her voice breaking. And I heard noises from your room, and I opened the door. She started crying. Clara knelt in front of her. What did you see, Emma? Silence. Silence. Deafening. Clara stood slowly. Turned. Looked at Daniel. Then at me. then back at Emma. Emma, she said carefully, are you sure? Maybe you had a dream. It wasn't a dream, Emma cried. Aunt Natalie said it was, but it wasn't. I saw them. That was it. The last piece. The last lie breaking apart. Clara walked toward Daniel and slapped him hard. The sound echoed through the house. Then she turned to me, her eyes filled with something I had never seen before. Not anger. Not just anger. Something deeper. Something final. Get out. Her voice was low, shaking. Clara, please. Get out of my house. She was screaming now. Emma was crying. Daniel stood frozen. I'm sorry, I said, the words falling apart as they left my mouth. I didn't mean... You didn't mean? She snapped. You didn't mean to sleep with my boyfriend in my bed while my daughter was down the hall? It was a mistake, How long? I couldn't speak. How long, Natalie? 3 months. The number broke something. Physically, Clara collapsed to the floor. Emma rushed to her. Daniel stepped forward, but Clara shoved him away violently. Don't touch me. Her voice was cold now. Sharp. Terrifyingly clear. She looked up at me. You're my sister. Each word landed like a blow. My sister. I trusted you. With my child, with my home, and you did this. I know, I whispered. I'm so sorry. Sorry doesn't fix this, she said. Sorry doesn't erase what my daughter saw. Sorry doesn't give me back what you took. She stood slowly, taking Emma's hand. Pack your things, baby. Clara, where will you go? She looked at me like I was nothing. Anywhere but here. Then she turned and walked out, taking everything that mattered with her. The door closed, and the house fell silent. Daniel and I stood there, surrounded by the wreckage we had created. I looked at him. What do we do now? He stared at the floor for a long moment, then finally said, There is no we. There is no we. The words didn't hit all at once. They settled slowly, like dust after something collapses. I stared at Daniel, waiting for something else. An explanation, an apology. Anything that sounded like what we had meant something. But his face had already changed. The intensity, the urgency, the way he used to look at me like I mattered. Gone. What do you mean? I asked, my voice barely holding together. He exhaled, rubbing his hands over his face. What did you think this was, Natalie? He said quietly. That we'd end up together? That Clara would just accept it? I thought you cared about me. He looked up at me then, and for the first time since all of this started, I saw the truth. I care about my daughter, he said. My daughter who just saw something she should never have seen. The emphasis cut deeper than anything else. Do you understand what we did to her? We. Now it was we. I almost laughed, but it came out as something broken. So now it's we? I whispered. He didn't respond. Just walked past me toward the door. You should go, he said. This is over. And just like that, it was. I drove back to my apartment in silence. The same streets, the same buildings. But everything felt different. Like I was seeing my life from the outside for the first time. I didn't turn on the lights when I got home. Just sat on the couch in the dark, waiting, because I knew what was coming. I just didn't know how fast it would hit. Monday morning, that's when it started. Clara filed for full custody. Emergency order. No hesitation. No discussion. By Tuesday, it was already moving through the system. Daniel didn't fight it. He didn't have anything to fight with. My phone rang that afternoon. Mom. I stared at the screen for a long time before answering. Hello? Her voice was already shaking. What did you do? I closed my eyes. Clara called me, she continued. She said you and Daniel. Silence stretched between us. Tell me it's not true, she whispered. Tell me you didn't sleep with your sister's boyfriend. I couldn't form the lie. And that was answer enough. There was a sound on the other end of the line, like something breaking. Oh my God, she breathed. How could you? Mom, A mistake? She snapped. You think this is a mistake? Tears blurred my vision. I didn't mean for it to. You had an affair with your sister's boyfriend while babysitting her child, she said, her voice rising. That's not a mistake. That's a betrayal. She stopped herself. But I heard it anyway. Please, I whispered. Don't say it. You're not my daughter anymore. The words were quiet. Final. Don't call me again. Don't come to the house. You're done. The line went dead. My father didn't call. He sent a text. I don't have words for what you've done. Your sister is destroyed. Emma is in therapy. Do not contact this family again. My brother called that night. Not to understand. Not to listen. To make sure I understood exactly what I had done. I can't believe you, he said. Clara is my sister too. Emma is my niece. And you did this to them? For what? It wasn't about him, I said weakly. Then what was it about? He shot back. You being jealous? Wanting her life? I didn't answer. Because he was right. Well, congratulations, he said bitterly. You destroyed it. Then he hung up. It didn't stop there. It spread. The way things always do in places where everyone knows everyone. Clara told her friends. Her friends told others. Someone saw her crying in the grocery store. Someone asked why. And suddenly, it wasn't just a family matter anymore. It was a story, a scandal, a warning. My best friend Samantha sent me a message. I don't know who you are anymore. Don't contact me again. My cousin removed me from her wedding. Said she couldn't have someone like me standing beside her on the happiest day of her life. People I had known for years stopped answering, stopped looking at me, stopped pretending I existed. Work found out a week later. My manager called me into her office. She didn't sit down. We've received complaints, she said. Customers don't feel comfortable. My chest tightened. This is a family business, she continued. Family values matter here. I already knew before she said it. I'm going to have to let you go. Just like that. Gone. Within 2 weeks, I lost everything. My job, my friends, my family. And the worst part? I couldn't even pretend it was unfair. I tried to reach out to Clara. Calls, messages, letters. Everything came back. Blocked. Unopened. Eventually, her lawyer contacted me. A formal letter. Cold. Precise. Cease all attempts at communication. Emma's therapist advised no contact. My presence in her life was considered traumatic. That word stayed with me. Traumatic. That's what I had become. 6 months later, I saw Clara at a grocery store. I almost didn't recognize her at first. She looked thinner, sharper, stronger in a way that didn't look like healing, but survival. She saw me, turned immediately, started walking the other way. Clara, wait, please. She stopped. Slowly turned around. Her eyes met mine, and I felt it again. That same final distance. What do you want? She asked. I wanted to talk. About what? She said. About how you destroyed my life? Tears filled my eyes. I'm sorry. She let out a short, humorless laugh. You're sorry for yourself, she said. Not for what you did. That's not true. Isn't it? She replied. You're sorry you got caught. Sorry your life fell apart. But you're not sorry for betraying me. I am, I whispered. I'm sorry for all of it. She studied me for a moment, then said something I will never forget. Do you know what Emma asked me last week? My chest tightened. She asked if I ever loved her, Clara continued. Because if I did, how could I let someone hurt her like that? The words hit like a physical blow. She's 8 years old, Natalie, and she thinks I failed to protect her. I didn't mean to hurt her. You did, Clara said sharply. You and Daniel. You took my trust, my home, my daughter's sense of safety. She stepped closer. And for what? For him? I couldn't answer. Was it worth it? A long silence. Then, no. She nodded once. Good, she said, because you're going to live with that for the rest of your life. And then she walked away. I left the state a year later. I couldn't stay. Not with the looks, the whispers, the way people would cross the street to avoid me. Now I live in a city where no one knows my name. No one knows what I did. I work as a waitress. I keep my head down. I don't make friends. I don't date. I don't let anyone get close enough to matter. Emma is 12 now. I know that because I still check Clara's social media sometimes. Through fake accounts. She looks happy. Not completely healed, but better. Clara remarried. A kind-looking man. Soft smile. Emma calls him Dad. Daniel. He's gone. Moved across the country. Sends money. Doesn't visit. I don't think he can face what he did. And me? I'm 35. Alone. In a small apartment that doesn't feel like a home. No pictures on the walls. No one to call. No one who would answer if I did. People ask sometimes why I don't try to fix things. Why I don't reach out again. Why I just accept this life. But they don't understand. Some things don't get fixed. Some lines, once you cross them, they erase everything behind you. I had a sister, a niece, a family, and I traded all of it for 3 months of attention. For a feeling that didn't even last beyond the moment it was exposed. Emma will grow up, graduate, fall in love, build a life, and I won't be part of any of it. Not as her aunt. Not as someone she remembers fondly. Only as a story. A warning. The woman who betrayed her mother. The woman who broke her family. That's who I am. That's who I chose to be. And this empty, quiet life is exactly what that choice deserves. There are no second chances for this. No redemption arc. No version of the story where I make it right. Just me. And the knowledge that one night, one choice, changed everything.